Welcome to CityWise. I'm your host, Tiana Stevens. CityWise is produced by the City of Rochester to shine a spotlight on city living at its best. A local woman looking for a way to help other women help themselves has matched her desire to serve with the mission of the Dress for Success worldwide organization. Dress for Success promotes the economic independence of disadvantaged women by providing professional attire and career development tools. Elisa Whitfield is here. She's the founder of Dress for Success Rochester. It's been 2 years in the making, but she's ready to open up shop in downtown.
Yes.
Elisa, congratulations. I've been following your progress on social media. You had an article in Rochester Woman magazine. 2 years ago, you set out to do something, you weren't sure what. How did you get to this point today?
Well, a couple of years ago, I turned 40, and I said, you know, I really wanted to take stock in the things that I was doing and where I was putting my time and energy. And I decided I was going to walk in my passion and I was going to create bigger impact in the community. And if I did that, I knew I would succeed. So I looked for different organizations that I could work with that work with women and kind of help move along the process of helping themselves be self-sufficient. And I didn't really find anything that had everything that I thought was needed. And a lot of organizations didn't have the resources to do it. So I searched for one that had everything.
Why do you think bringing this organization to Rochester specifically is so important? Dress for
Success Worldwide provides the tools that kind of help take a woman who is almost job ready on to find a job, on to being successful in that, and then having career advancement. So I felt like that was the way that we were going to be able to change the economic situation here, is to help women stay in a job and succeed and move further in it. So being with an organization that has proven programming, it was just a no-brainer.
And you're a busy mom, and you've had your career. And how did you know that this was the right fit for you?
I didn't. I just knew that it was part of my passion, and I knew that I had to do it. I started researching the need here in the community, and I realized, actually I have to give credit to the Women's Foundation because they did a wonderful study on women and economic issues. And if, one of the statistics was 78% of the women led by single moms in this community are below standards in self-sufficiency. So that's 78%, and I thought, that's unbelievable. I have to do something about that. So I just knew that I would be able to make an impact if I got a great group behind me, and Dress for Success is a wonderful organization. Right,
and you mentioned the Women's Foundation of Genesee Valley, and collaborating already before the shop is even open. So how important is that going to be for the work that you do, collaborating and networking?
Collaboration is key. I feel like there's a lot of organizations that do job training, or there's some that give suiting or help women in other ways. But if we all work together, how great would it be to have an organization say, well, I got the woman this far, and then I referred them to Dress for Success, and they have succeeded beyond our expectations. I mean, that is something I look forward to. So some of the organizations that I've already started collaborating with is Project Independence, which is out of the Rochester Regional Health Organization, and we're working with Women on the Move. That's another organization, and I really would like to work with Volunteers of America and some of the larger organizations.
And so now you've got kind of the final piece in place, which is a location. How's that going, and where are you located exactly?
It's going great. We found a wonderful location on State Street, right across from Rochester Plaza, 47 State Street, and we are in the process of getting that together for for a grand opening in April. So April 24th, we're going to open it up and let the community in to see what we can do at Dress for Success. And the best thing about that location is that it was a former boutique, so it was a shoe store, and you know me, I love shoes, I love fashion, so it's kind of like I'm encompassing everything that I like to do in this one venture. So I think people will be excited to see something different. When you walk in, it's going to feel like a boutique space. You're really going to feel like you're in a place that you can see yourself moving up in.
Now, how does the program actually work? Can anybody just come in, or will you work with organizations to get referrals? And how is it going to work exactly once you're open? Exactly.
They will be referred to us. So the women that come to us can be referred by community organizations, Department of Social Services, colleges, other educational programming, so job training programs, and on a case-by-case basis, people can self-refer. The reason that we want to get referrals from other agencies is just to kind of know that this person is really ready to go on to the next level, because once you come to us, we can provide the suits, but really what we're trying to do is change the mentality of where you're going. So we need people who are ready for that.
So once that woman walks in the door, what happens next?
This is great. So when they come in the door, they're greeted by a volunteer, which the organization is pretty much all volunteers. It is all volunteers, pretty much. All volunteers right now. One day, we hope to get to that point where we have a staff, but so they'll come in, a volunteer will greet them and take them on what we call our first impressions consult. So the volunteer will talk with them about what their goals are for their career, what the interview is that they're going on, and then help them find a suit that's appropriate for that interview. After they get that suit, they can immediately go into an interview prep session. So we get them ready for that interview at that first session, and then if they get the job, how great is this? They call us back and come in for a second consult where they can get a week's worth of clothing to help them get started, so they don't have to spend that first paycheck on clothes. Which can be, you know, a lot, especially if you haven't been in the workforce. Knowing what to wear is important. So we bring them back in and we do a little job prep, so kind of letting them know what to expect that first day and how to navigate the workplace.
So where do the clothes come from? Where are the suits coming from?
So our suits and clothing I've been collecting for the last year. From fabulous women in Rochester, and we have some fabulous women in this town who don't mind letting go of those pieces that they really love, because they know it's going to a woman that will need to feel just as confident as they did wearing it. So we get a lot of our clothing from just business professionals in the community. And I've had a partnership with Panache Consignment, and they've been collecting clothing for us. And then some of the women that may not sell their things through consignment and they're still at the store, they'll say, okay, donate it to Dress for Success or some other worthy cause. So we've been getting some things that way too.
Okay, and how's the space turning out so far? You've done a little bit of remodeling.
Yes, we've got the paint done right now, so we just got it painted. We received some furniture donations, so I have to thank Manning and Napier for that, because they have a women's lean-in group, and they heard what we were doing and offered to give us their furniture. So we've got some that way, but we're still in need of things. So I have a big wish list on Facebook of things that we still need. So if anyone is giving away a chandelier, we need that.
Okay. And how about volunteers? Are you still looking for volunteers to help out with anything specific?
Yes, we are in the phase of just getting people interested right now that want to volunteer. There's not a lot for you to do yet, but once we open, there'll be a need for personal consultants, the people that help the women pick out the suits and clothing, and then there will be a professional women's group. So we'll need women to come in and speak to groups of women that are have questions about financial management, about how to make your wardrobe, go further. That's an important thing and skill to know, as you know, because I see on your posts all the time that you find things and you know how to match them up, and you don't spend a lot of money on it. So having you come in and talk about that would be great for our women.
I would love to.
Good.
I would love to.
See, I'm always recruiting.
So you mentioned Manning and Napier and other businesses helping out. How important is that to running Dress for Success, and how are you planning to continue to get funding and other things to keep it going?
It's extremely important. One of the reasons that I was able to secure the affiliate here was to really provide the worldwide office with information that said Rochester could sustain this. And Rochester is a very generous community. I just believe that women will get behind this and companies will get behind this when they really see the need and they see what we're doing. So one of our first organizations that sponsored us with a monetary donation was Woods Oviatt, and they just saw what we were doing and thought, this is something that we want to be a part of starting up. So I'm really grateful for them. To them for that. But yes, we will need funding from other entities in the community, and people have just been having little events at their home and taking donations in that way, and that's kind of gotten us to this startup phase. And so going forward, I'll be looking at grants and going the same route that other nonprofits do, but I think we have a different target, so I hope that people will get behind it.
And it sounds like you're in a really good place so far and just getting started. But I want to ask you, where do you see, finally to wrap up, where do you see yourself in 5 years with Dress for Success Rochester?
I see Dress for Success Rochester as a major organization here that people can look to when they want to know about women's issues in employment, when they want to hire. So being a resource for businesses, knowing that a person who comes through Dress for Success is going to be ready, they're going to be able to be an asset to their company, that's key. And then I also want to have a mobile unit that will be able to reach the rural areas that can't come into the city.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Elisa, for your service and what you're doing here. Again, to learn more about Dress for Success Rochester, you can visit rochester.dressforsuccess.org. You can also call 678-1041. CityWise will be right back.
Thank you.
Mayor Warren is urging you to take control of your future, starting right now. One phone call can change your life. Operation Transformation Rochester is a new, comprehensive approach to helping city youth and adults make connections and gain the skills needed to achieve sustainable, rewarding employment. Building upon successful programs such as Summer of Opportunity and Prime, Operation Transformation Rochester expands the city's approach to helping youth and adults find and keep jobs with a focus on education, vocation, and employment. These programs are designed to be adaptable according to skill level, background, and needs. Change your life today. Call 428-6342 or visit cityofrochester.gov/OTR. Well, Well, 2014 state and federal income taxes are due on April 15th. It can be a stressful time for some, but there's a community coalition of more than 40 organizations ready to make your tax experience a little bit easier. C.A.S.H stands for Creating Assets, Savings, and Hope. It was convened by the United Way in 2002 and is headquartered at Empire Justice Center. Berta Rivera is the director of C.A.S.H, and she joins us now to give us more information. Hi, Berta.
Hello, Tiana. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming in. How did C.A.S.H get its start?
Well, as you mentioned, we started in 2002. At that time, the United Way here was trying to identify different areas where they wanted to assign some of their funding. And so at that time, which is still the case now, poverty has been a huge issue that we'd like to address here locally. So at that time that they were trying to identify what's the best place to send funding, they actually created a task force. Empire Justice was part of that task force along with some of the other local agencies here. And it just so happened that the IRS was reaching out to the United Way's nationwide to get their help in doing some outreach for the Earned Income Tax Credit, which is a credit that was specifically created to help combat poverty. So that's kind of how we got birthed, basically. It's a clashing of kind of those two things. So we started there, and then we've kind of just grown since then.
How is this kind of work important as it relates to the mission of Empire Justice?
Well, it relates kind of directly. With C.A.S.H, we're the one entity within Empire Justice that's not attorneys or legal, but we serve the same clients. So we're all serving to kind of better the lives of low-income workers here in New York. So they deal with the advocacy and the legislative work associated with that and some direct client service, and then we deal with kind of the financial literacy piece to kind of get everybody on the same page. We're serving the same clients.
So let's just step through some of the programs that C.A.S.H does, and you're in the busiest time of the year, obviously.
Yes.
We'll start with free tax preparation.
Well, our free tax program is actually a program through the IRS. It's called the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. That's actually a nationwide program. So the IRS sponsors these VITA programs, and they provide them with the software and the training to train volunteers who actually prepare tax returns. So we use that within our own program here in C.A.S.H because it allows us, it kind of gives us the opportunity to get people to come in and get their tax returns done for free, but also we can connect them with resources while they're at our sites. So it's not just kind of come in and get your taxes done for free. It's really come in and get a full experience. So we're connecting people with bank accounts, prepaid cards, talking about savings, about different community programs that can help them, and giving them those referrals and that information to do more.
And then you have sites all over the county, really. What are some of those sites?
So we have 3 sites that we call super sites, and we call them super because they're in a donated storefront space. So we serve about 100 clients a day at those sites, and they house 10 tax preparers. They house the rest of our volunteers, a waiting area, and they actually are open 6 days a week, 6 to 8 hours a day, depending on the location. And then we have smaller sites that are called partner sites, and they're actually members of our coalition who host tax sites within their actual building. So ABC, Genesee Federal Credit Union, Heritage Christian, different agencies that are part of our coalition that serve the clients that they see on a daily basis. And
can people just walk into those sites, or should they make an appointment ahead of time?
Actually, this year, all of our super sites are walk-in only, so there's no appointments. First come, first serve. So you can come in and just get your taxes done. Some of our partner sites, it depends on their location and what they require. So some are appointments and some are walk-in only. So all that information is on our website of where the site locations are and what the phone number is if you have to make an appointment.
Right. And what should people bring? What should they start preparing before they come in?
The most important thing they need to bring, obviously, is their income information, so their W-2s, their ID and Social Security cards for them and any of their dependents who are on their return. And that's something that they should be bringing no matter where they go to get their taxes done. Those are things that are required. For this year, people have to be prepared to talk about health insurance coverage. Next year, they'll actually have to bring proof of coverage. So for this year, they just need to be prepared to discuss it.
Okay, and what sort of quality control measures do you put in place at the sites to just kind of make sure things are running smoothly and that each form is prepared correctly?
Well, actually, the IRS has very strict standards that we have to follow. So the IRS has what are called quality site requirements. So all of our volunteers have to go through rigorous training. They actually have to take a test, pass it to certify just to prepare returns. And then there's a level of experienced volunteers who have to take a separate training that's called quality review. So every client that comes into a site has their tax return prepared, and then before they leave, a quality reviewer, which is another volunteer, will come review the actual return with them to make sure we didn't miss anything, numbers weren't transposed, that kind of a thing, before they leave. And then we print out the return, go through it with them line by line so they understand what the tax return is or where their refund comes from, and then they sign and giving us the opportunity to e-file it for them.
How long does the whole process take? How much time should someone allow?
The process itself, once it's your turn in line, per se, it usually takes about an hour from start to finish.
Okay.
So the first part of that is meeting with a volunteer called a C.A.S.H advisor. They're the ones who screen you to make sure, one, you're eligible for our program. Families, if they're making $55,000 or less, are eligible.
Okay.
Individuals or married couples without dependents is $40,000 or less.
Okay.
So they make sure you're eligible, that you have all the documents you need to get your tax returns done that day. The worst thing is if you're waiting and then you realize you're missing something and not know about it. And then you see a tax preparer. So that whole process is usually an hour.
Okay, and so once someone gets their return back, creating assets, what does that look like for C.A.S.H?
So like I mentioned, for us, tax prep is kind of the hook to get people into the sites, to really give them information. So when they're sitting with a C.A.S.H advisor and getting screened, one of the things we'll ask them is, how do you want to receive your refund? Do you want to direct deposit it into your account? Do you have a bank account? We always encourage people to pay themselves first and save a portion of their refund.
Right.
So we explain to them, these are the options. If you already have a checking and a savings, you can split your refund. There's the option to do that. If you don't have a bank account and you're interested in one, here's a list of accounts that are affordable with the local banks here. We can actually sign you up on site. And then there's actually an organization called Doorways to Dreams Fund. They're a national nonprofit as well. And one of the areas they focus on is creating incentives for people to save during tax time. Especially for the population that we serve, it's usually the easiest time to save because it's when you're getting the biggest refund of the largest amount of money at one time. So they have different promotions that are going on. So if people save a portion of their refund, they can win a weekly prize of $100. We've had 3 winners so far this year, and last year we had 8 winners.
How do you think all of these programs help break the cycle of poverty?
I think the best thing that these programs do is really plant seeds of information. It's very hard to break out of the cycle of poverty if you don't know how, or you don't know what options are out there for you to take advantage of different things. And so when people come to the sites and they learn about the different programs in the community, like first-time home buyers clubs, or checking and savings accounts, or SNAP, or the RG&E heating fund, things like that, that typically it's very easy to pay for services that you don't necessarily have to if you don't know that there's programs out there. So just kind of planting seeds of information and letting people know, and leaving the choice to them to say, yes, I want to take advantage of this, is usually the best way for people to kind of overcome that obstacle and get out of the cycle of poverty.
And this is your first tax season as director of C.A.S.H, but you've been at it for some time. What have you learned throughout, to this point?
I think one of the biggest things I've learned is kind of what people, when they think of tax returns, that people are usually fearful because it's something that they don't understand. So one of the biggest things that I've learned and really have expressed with clients and with our volunteers and staff is making sure that people understand what their tax refund is, why they need to have their taxes done, and where their refund comes from. So they understand, at the end of the day, you're responsible for what's on your return. So you want to make sure you understand what all of that means. And it's not as complicated as people think. It's just a matter of having someone who can explain it to you so you understand.
What do you think some of those misconceptions are?
I think some of the misconceptions, things that are as simple as, you have credits that are available to you, so you might be used to getting, $5,000 refund. And the very next year that refund may go down. So you might be confused as to, well, what happened? I'm making the same amount of money. And it may just be every credit has different guidelines. So if you have a child who aged out of that credit, you're no longer eligible for that credit. So that may be a simple explanation there. So something as simple as that, or now you're making more money, which is fantastic, but that may bring your refund down because now you're not as eligible for some of these other credits. So something as simple as not understanding kind of the guidelines of the credits to know kind of what changes the amount of your refund.
And do you encourage people to file on their own if that's something that they want to do, and do you help out with that?
Absolutely. We actually have options right at the sites. There's a website called myfreetaxes.com, and that's sponsored through the Goodwill Industries and the Walmart Foundation, where people can prepare their own tax returns online for free, both federal and state. Some sites are just free federal, and you have to pay for the state. So we actually have kiosks at our tax sites where people are comfortable doing their own, and we have posters up to say, this is kind of what's required. If you want to do it on your own, we can help you. And a lot of people end up taking advantage of that because they have a live person there that they can ask questions to as they're doing it on their own. And so it's really empowering to have someone who's never tried before to do it and realize it's not that difficult as long as you have the information that you need and the help.
Right. So outside of tax season, you mentioned your website, and there's a ton of information on there. What kind of resources can people find?
Well, on our website, we actually talk about another program that we run. So it's called the C.A.S.H Coach Program. And that kind of was created right out of our tax prep program. So what we found was there were a lot of clients who had interest in learning how to better manage their finances or learning how to get out of debt and kind of manage that obstacle there. So our coaching program runs from September through May, and it's a one-on-one financial coaching program. So clients can apply, be interviewed and accepted into the program. They get connected with a volunteer coach who will work with them over 9 months to complete some self-identified financial goals. So that's a program that we run kind of throughout the year, at the same time as tax season as well.
How are the sites going so far? It's been pretty busy.
Busy. Yeah. Busy, but busy is good. It's a busy time of year for us. Right now we're actually transitioning as of March 1st. At our sites, our clients can get prior year returns done, but also amendments, so changes on any current year returns. So if someone had their return prepared earlier in the season, they might have gotten a W-2 or a statement from a bank. After they had already filed, they can come back into the sites and get that changed and edited for them.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today and the service that you're bringing to Rochester. To learn more about the C.A.S.H Coalition or to schedule an appointment, you can call 242-6485 or visit empirejustice.org/CASH. Thanks for joining us on this edition of CityWise. I'm Tiana Stevens, and we'll see you next week.